What is self-regulated learning? Consider the following situation. You are a new teacher in your classroom. You know your students need to be organized and self-regulated in order to do well in both their current and future classes, but many of the students do not seem to know how to take charge of their own learning. You find that many cannot keep up with their assignments. You are approaching the midpoint of the course and your students are already swamped with work, but there is also so much more material to be covered by the Ontario curriculum. What organizational skills and techniques could you use in your classroom to help your students not only succeed within your class, but help them within others and future classes as well? In this presentation, we will explore the theories and applications of self-regulated learning. As you are watching this video, try to keep the following questions in mind. What does it mean to be a self-regulated learner? What factors influence a student's ability to be an efficient self-regulated learner? What goals and strategies can be applied towards self-regulated learning? How does self-regulated learning behavior of a child develop as they grow? How can self-dialogue be used to assist students in becoming more effective self-regulated learners? And how can we as teachers apply the theories behind self-regulated learning to create activities in the classroom that better promote self-regulated learners?
Self-regulated learning. Self-regulation is defined by Barry Zimmerman as the process of activating and sustaining thoughts, behaviors, and emotions in order to reach goals. Bandura summarizes the concept of self-regulation as setting goals and mobilizing the efforts and resources needed to reach those goals. When the goals involve learning, we talk about self-regulated learning. Self-regulated learners have a combination of academic learning skills and self-control that makes learning more productive, so they are more motivated. In other words, they have the skill and the will to learn. What influences self-regulation? There are 3 factors that influence self-regulated learning. First, knowledge. To be self-regulated learners, students need knowledge about themselves, the subject, the task, strategies for learning, and the context in which they will be applying their learning. Expert students know about themselves and about how they will learn best. Second, motivation. Self-regulated learners are motivated to learn. They find many tasks in school interesting because they value learning. They know why they are studying, so their actions and choices are self-determined. Third, volition, or willpower. This is the planning for and protecting opportunities to reach the goals by applying self-regulated learning. Models of self-regulated learning and agency. We will focus on a model of self-regulated learning developed by Philip Winnie and his colleague Alison Hadwin titled The Cycle of Self-Regulated Learning. This model is based on the belief that learners are agents. Agency is defined as the capacity to coordinate learning skills, motivation, and emotions to reach your goals. In the cycle of self-regulated learning, self-regulated learners exercise agency as they engage in a cycle involving 4 main phases. The first phase is analyzing the learning task. Learners examine whatever information they think is relevant in order to construct a sense of what the task is about, what resources to use, and how they feel about the work that needs to be done. The second phase is setting goals and designing plans. Once a learner knows the conditions of a task, they are able to create goals for learning and develop plans to reach those goals. The third phase is enacting tactics and strategies to accomplish the task. Learners enact their plan and monitor how well the plan is working. The fourth phase is regulating learning. This step involves metacognitive monitoring and control. The learner comes to a decision about whether changes are needed in any of the 3 preceding phases.
In the 90s, while working with impulsive students, Donald Meichenbaum developed a method called cognitive behavior modification. As its name implies, it is an approach to self-regulated learning based on both behavioral and cognitive learning principles. Self-talk and self-instruction are the tools with which behavior is regulated. Self-instruction, simply put, is talking oneself through the steps of a task. Meichenbaum outlined a series of steps through which a teacher could help a student use self-instruction to self-regulate. The steps are as follows. In the first step, cognitive modeling, the teacher will perform a task while using overt self-talk. That is to say, they will be speaking aloud. In the second step, the student will perform the task while the teacher uses overt instruction to guide the student. In the next step, the student takes on both the task and overt self-instruction. The fourth step is an extension of this, except that the student's self-talk is more faded or whispered. Finally, the student will be able to perform the task using covert or private self-talk. The hope with cognitive behavior modification is that students learn to use the appropriate self-talk to work through a task. Given that there is only one teacher for about 30 students in a classroom, a more feasible way to promote this was offered up by Brenda Manning and Beverly Payne. They suggested that teachers could put up posters around the class with self-instruction prompts related to one of 4 key learning skills: listening, planning, working, and checking. For example, when listening to a presentation, students could be prompted to ask themselves, "Am I getting this?" or "Do I have any questions?" One way to prepare for your future classroom would be to come up with more questions for each skill.
So what can teachers do to promote self-regulated learning? That is, how can we help students develop skills and attitudes for independent lifelong learning? Let's have a look at 4 ways. First, complex tasks. Second, giving students control. Third, encouraging self-evaluation. And finally, fostering collaboration.
Complex tasks help increase student self-efficacy. The most motivating and academically beneficial ones are the ones that challenge students without overwhelming them. They do not need to be difficult. Ones that are too difficult can lead to frustration, especially for students with learning disabilities or difficulties. Complex refers to the design of the task, not the level of difficulty. Teachers should strive to create complex tasks that address multiple goals, are meaningful, extend over long periods of time, and engage students in a variety of cognitive processes, such as projects and thematic units. Sharing control with students can help promote self-efficacy and self-regulated learning. Choices give students some level of control. Students are more likely to care about their work and anticipate success if they can choose how and what they produce or present and who they work with. This increases their self-efficacy. Teachers can help students self-regulate their learning by having them involved in the planning, setting goals, monitoring progress, and evaluating outcomes. However, teachers need to be careful with the choices they give students to ensure that students don't make poor academic decisions. Teachers can set constraints, such as the number of points that need to be addressed, and urge students to think about what they need from a partner when choosing with whom to work.
Self-evaluation supports student-regulated learning through its emphasis on process, personal progress, and using errors as learning opportunities. It prompts students' metacognition, motivation, and strategic action. It's what some educators would call assessment as learning. For example, in a complex project, this could involve having students and teachers collectively generate criteria for evaluation. By giving students an authentic role, it can both reduce the anxiety that often accompanies assessment and increase students' investment in meeting the criteria. Another more informal strategy would be journal reflections. These regular reflections can be used as part of the project evaluation or simply used as an assessment for and as learning. It's important to note that teachers need to build these self-evaluation skills through modeling and scaffolding. Students are most receptive to complex tasks when they engage in collaboration. This includes working in small groups, in pairs, or providing support with individual work. It involves sharing ideas, comparing strategies for solving problems, and identifying the expertise of different individuals in a group. Collaborative work is important because it develops cooperation skills and creates a community of learners who have a responsibility for each other's learning, rather than a competitive environment. Such a climate of community and shared problem solving can create a less alienating and a more inclusive learning environment. As with self-regulation, collaboration needs to be taught. Teachers need to model and scaffold how to give constructive feedback and how to interpret suggestions from their peers.
We hope that after listening to this presentation, you have been able to answer some of our questions from the beginning. One of the main goals of our education system is not simply to deliver the necessary content, but to teach our students how to effectively learn and think for themselves, so that they can grow independent from us as teachers. The skills and strategies presented here can be used to help our students become independent thinkers and to be prepared to think and respond to the many crazy situations life will throw at them. Thank you for your attention.